The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Project Independence and You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with, of course, Otto Lohse and Kristina Lew. Kristina, the radio show producer now for 12 years. And today marks our 12-year anniversary with Project Independence and You Radio. Dan Cox, of course, who is the executive director, and just wonderful program, radio show. And of course, we have a very special guest today, Supervisor Jen DeSena. So welcome, Jen.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So glad to have you. And Otto, of course, our Project Independence ambassador, going back to the beginning of Project Independence. You know, I always get so nostalgic when we do these anniversary shows because when we were talking about it, Kristina, I was just thinking like every anniversary show has kind of its own theme. And, during COVID, it was very different. And we used to have like big parties. And this year I was thinking so much about the circle of support. And I'm just going to go all over the place. And just because, with my mother and situations and just thinking how important the circle of support is, like one of the premier programs of Project Independence, and how it ties in every part of the seniors' lives, but it's also good for anybody. It really is. It brings in all the important connections that you have in your life in a booklet or, online. And it really makes you, thanks, Otto. I was going to do that too. And it really makes you think hard about things and how important planning is. We talk about it all the time.
Especially on the show, right? That's always kind of no matter what topic it is, somehow it always goes to being prepared and planning for things, as I look through like the circle of support, and it's so like our show, all these topics and categories are really also important, and we certainly try and feature that on this program with the topics we have on. We've even had family and friends on the show. So it's really, it is such a good tool back, and, for any age, anyone listening, obviously, we're geared towards seniors, but it is something I know for my own self to be, in a crisis situation, you want to have this kind of planning.
Yeah. Yeah. And, all the planning in the world also when you're in crisis is so important, because unfortunately, when you have that moment in time, whether it's your parent, an aunt, an uncle, an older person in your life, the worst time to think about planning is when it happens. And there's so much regret because you could save so much time to have, the circle of support. So I know, Supervisor, you come to a lot of, if not all of the Project Independence advisory meetings, and those meetings are really about planning. This radio show came to be because of, a resident of Great Neck who said it would be great to do a radio show. And everyone's like, that's ridiculous. How is that going to be successful? 12 years later, great minds, bring these programs to life, and they're sustained like the circle of support. So I'm curious to know your whole vibe on the planning, and is it something that you've maybe implemented in your life because you now see, with such a high population of seniors in our town too?
So I want to thank you for creating the document, because this is something that we all should do. And, in my case, it would be something that I should do for my parents, who unfortunately do not live in the town of North Hempstead. So they are not able to, enjoy all of our programs. But looking at this circle, this is almost like a reflection on your life.
I mean, and we all need this self-reflection. We need to take the time. And I will admit to you that no, I have not done the type of planning that I should have done, whether it's for myself or my parents. But when you look at here and you see, you know, religious services, financial services, friends, coworkers, neighbors, when you take a look at that and see all the support that could be there, I mean, it's almost like a recipe for how to make yourself feel better on a bad day. You know, what am I missing? What am I missing in my day? And what is out there, you know, especially religious services. You know, if you're feeling lonely or that you know, you don't feel the meaning in your life, you can go find a religious service and you can find some like-minded people and add something to your life. So, but you know, even the phone numbers of neighbors, that's, as you said, you don't want to be looking for the phone number of a neighbor when you're already in a crisis. You know, when you need to have someone go check on your parent or go check on the house. So, you know, when you have gone through the exercise of completing this, you have confidence, you feel that you've done something and you're prepared.
It's like fire insurance for your home. You know, you can't buy it once the house is being in flames. You have to buy it ahead of time and
Right.
planning. Like, this is just the same story. All of a sudden the fire of your life comes along and you haven't done anything to prepare for that fire. It's a big problem. How are people who are going to try to help you get all this information in an hour or two? Maybe they know nothing about you or your situation, and even your family, frankly. I mean, you really have to let your family know, if you're fortunate enough to have family around you, what the story is on all these things. And as you well know, I'm a little over the top as far as that goes. You know, I mean, I go into the details like hearing aids, all right? If I'm in a hospital and I have no hearing aids in, I am not going to know what you're talking about. So if I don't make that clear, I'm just going to be laying there like a piece of meat, to be blunt about it. You know, and just so many things that if you don't prepare ahead of time, you know, it requires taking the time to think about it. You need to be willing to take the time.
You know what, Otto, I was thinking, and this could almost be a fun activity too for a family to get together. Like, you know, how the supervisor was pointing out in the section of the circle that says community. I mean, what is your community? You know, it makes you kind of think about those kinds of things. You know, whether it is religious or spiritual support or leisure and recreation, you know, it would be like someone saying, hey, Dad, you know, you used to like to play golf. You know, whatever happened to your friends that used to play with, you know, what that part of your community. So family and friends. So the circle of support, it says a life planning tool, but it has kind of positive things in it. It's a very positive thing to do. And you know, and the more I kind of look at it, I definitely feel like it's something that anybody could do. But, you know, Otto, what if you brought your family together and you all sat down and started working on the circle of support and they point out.
I'm going to show you what I do. All right.
It's a big family. It'd be a big meeting, though. I just
finished updating this. All right. And this is my circle of support. It's 25 pages. It has an overview of our state. You know, what do we have? What actions are required? Information about us. Multiple experiences in my life where I was executors for people of wills and whatnot. And I've been involved with people who all of a sudden have a health crisis and you know nothing. And you're trying to find out who even their doctor is and you don't know. So I have a document that I have kept up to date over the years. It's a 25-page document, and it actually includes things like usernames, passwords, all the above.
That's a good one.
you know,
Yeah.
a bank
Otto,
account.
you really got the gold star. I'll tell you. I mean, if everyone
Well,
had a
what
document
I'm
like
saying
this,
is
Otto.
that this is the beginning of what you should do. You know, and that includes, you know, if you're not around or who knows what, or if you can't handle things yourself. So like your parents, Jen, as an example, you probably don't know a lot about what's in this booklet right here. My family all knows, and they know where this thing is hidden. You know, it's not like laying out in the open somewhere that the whole planet can take a look at it because it covers everything.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more over the top about the whole thing, but
I
as
know,
I
but you know,
say, it
Otto, you're doing it.
comes
You're
from hard
making like
experience.
no, and you're planning for yourself, but what you're doing for your family is even more
Right.
beneficial. You know, I know when my grandpa had passed away, you know, I mean, he wasn't tech savvy, so he didn't have passwords and all that stuff, but it was this scrambling, you know, trying to get all of his accounts and then get in touch, you know, so it was just, it took, you know, so much time and calls and worry and stress. I mean, it's to have what you're doing, you know, for your family is really, you know, just such a gift, you know, and Supervisor had mentioned before, which I love about the circle of support is that it shows you, you know, where your gaps are. So when you do fill it out, that's what I think is such a wonderful thing about it because you can say, "Oh no, you know, I don't know who I would call in this case or, you know, who is my religious support?" You know, and to really look at yourself and reflect it. And as you said, Beck, it can be, you know, a positive, you know, bonding activity to do
With
with
a
whoever.
family. But
Right.
that
But
being said, too, you can call, of course, Project
Yep.
Independence, and a
right.
social worker will help you fill it out and like, you know, help you fill those gaps. And who are the people that could maybe, you know, help you fill it out? And importantly, too, is keep it updated. Otto, you said that before about your list. How often would you update? Like, would you go once a year? Do you do it
No,
less
I'll
frequently?
do it like I keep a copy, which I'll do manual notes on maybe. But like recently I did it because something changed as far as where my IRA account was being kept. Uh, so I knew I had to change that. And while at it, I look through it and see what else might have changed. Frankly, even things like is your car paid for? And if it isn't paid for, who do you know, who's got the finances on it? You know, it's just and it makes, frankly, it helps me function better because I have everything in one place. It's not all over the place. Um, it's, you know, some people have a brain that kind of works like that. Mine is one of them. Organizing
So
has always been, you know, I know there are some people that they're never going to do something like this, and that's fine. But the least you should do is something like this, and you can do it with help. You know, like you pointed out from Project Independence. Um, you know, if you don't do this, you're just asking for trouble for somebody. There's going to be a lot of problems around.
Supervisor, could you see that this would be kind of something that you could maybe turn into, I want to say almost not like a fun event, but to kind of sit down with your parents and maybe if you have siblings or others and kind of look through the pamphlet? Because, you know, you can I have things that I know about my mom that maybe she doesn't remember or doesn't really realize is a great connection.
I think this is a good tool because it makes the conversation easier to have. You know, especially you mentioned you know, planning. It's a planning document, and you know, for one thing, I think of is, you know, end of life services. You know, that's something that's a very difficult conversation that I have not had with my parents. And when you have a document like this and you say, look at this great tool from Project Independence, we can fill this out together. You can have the conversations that are difficult
Yeah.
and make it
Yeah,
easier for the family.
you know, I think that's a
Good
very
point.
valid point. The reason I'm like I am is because of my time, 20 years almost, with Project Independence and hearing about this over and over and over again. You know, end of life planning, advanced directives. You know, we've talked about it 100 times. And I said, you know, you really should do that. You know, and it does make the conversation I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'll talk to my kids about it, who a couple of,
Yes.
and I'm not afraid to tell them, look, I know there's going to be things going on down the road, so let's see what we can do to make it easy for everybody. You have to be able to talk about it. It's a fact of life. Period. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Not that complicated. There's only one way. We're all going in one direction, whether you like it or not.
But I also feel like what you were saying, Supervisor, about also end of life stuff is hard to bring up on a kind of like just that one topic. But here you have everything together. So it could kind of be like, and that too, who really, some people don't do their will, like me, because you kind of don't want to talk about that stuff. But this kind of gives you the whole package.
This is the type of information, some of it that you would be discussing with a lawyer or an estate planner or a nurse, and so to have the conversations is really helpful. It's so helpful to have this format, and it's a standardized way to look at life. And as you said, we're all heading in the same direction. We're all going there together, and none of us knows when we're going. But this circle of life, it's almost it's creating life while we still have it too, saying look who you have in your life right now. And
that's like a perfect tagline for the circle of support.
And you know what? It's a good time to take a quick break, and we'll come back to the positive aspects of planning and aging. You're listening to Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org, and we'll be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast, and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios Podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, of course, along with Otto Lohse, extraordinaire co-host, Kristina Lew, the fabulous radio show producer for these past 10 years, Dan Cox,
12 years back.
What's that?
You said 10. You said 10
well,
years.
Sorry. Well, it's just because I'm approaching the next decade. So, I'm kind of like trying to deny that. And of course, our town supervisor, Jennifer DeSena. Before we took a break, we were kind of just talking about the circle of support and kind of this evolving program, and we have updated it over the years. So it's, when we first started, it was and this actually started at a Project Independence advisory meeting, coming out of the need for advocacy, and someone had a fall and they didn't know what to do, and then we just kind of talked it out at the advisory. Do you remember that, Kristina?
Yes, I remember.
Everybody said, well, what about like a document or a plan? Yeah. And this is how it all evolves. So it is wonderful. Otto also mentioned that you can get it digitally online. Any questions further about the Circle of Support, you can always call 311 or 516-869-6311. So that all being said, we love talking about Project Independence, but I think there's other stuff going on in the town, Supervisor. I'm not really sure.
There are, because you do so much work towards it. We have so much going on in the town. We have a lot of celebrations, that are seasonal, like fall celebrations, spooky walk, which is so much fun for our young families, Halloween dances. But we also have all of your classes, the yoga, the various Tai Chi, those classes that you have listed. And we also have so many senior groups that are meeting in our, Clinton G. Martin building, at the Tully building, at the Port Washington Adult Activities building. So there's so many ways that our seniors can join a group and have companionship, have a nice meal, and play games. So obviously, we want all of our residents to call 311. You can get these schedules, but you can also ask, where is a group meeting? Where are the seniors meeting by me? And it's just incredible. I go around and see them sometimes, to see the smiles and people catching up. They're so happy to be together.
Yeah.
And it's probably a highlight of the week to know that they're going to get together at one of our senior groups.
Just
Certainly
a
the
question,
town-
is there such a thing as a list of all the senior groups that are in the town of North Hempstead?
on the
Yeah, so
website.
the website has a list.
Does it?
Because
Does
we
it?
don't
Yeah.
actually head, the group. So it's a lot of individual groups that, meet at our locations. But there is a list on the website, and I, we have in our office, because it is, evolving. But what's so wonderful, Supervisor, I'm so glad you mentioned the senior groups, because, during COVID, there was such a quietness, without the senior groups. We're in Clinton G. Martin Park, and that's such a big part of the park. So it's so nice to see this year, the group, and they are back in full force. I mean, when I walk by to, go to the restroom or whatever it is, you'll see just there's always some kind of theme. There's music, there's entertainment, and each group has kind of its own flavor. And it's so, it's really such a nice thing to see in the town.
You know what I love too? On Mondays, very busy Monday morning. We have yoga, then we have line dancing, we have beginning and then intermediate line dancing. And then it goes right into choir, which is completely separate. So we go, it's like boom, boom, boom. And then we all go in our office, and you kind of know that it's fall, because it's all the holiday songs coming.
Yeah, you hear the holiday songs, right? The holiday songs kick off immediately. So we're at the holiday Clinton G. Martin.
That was one of the things, during COVID, of course, there's so much, social distancing that we practiced, and we still do to some degree, but it's so nice to see the room full again and all the seniors coming. It's the same songs. I mean, it would be nice to hear a different song here and there, just saying, but they sound great. It's very uplifting. So there are so many different programs that we have. They have, support groups and hobbies and fitness, like the supervisor was saying, all these things, and at all these different town facilities. So, and then of course, also at the parks, we had a great Fun Day Monday this summer. It was unbelievable. I think we had the most people in attendance this summer, certainly at the health fair in the last Fun Day Monday, than I've ever seen. I've been here almost 17 years. So it was full. It was packed.
I don't want to embarrass our supervisor, all right, but I happen to be a
preempting
witness.
her with that.
Well, I happen to be a witness at the pickleball opening at Tully, and the young lady here took her shoes off so she could play pickleball, and I think discovered that the ground was very hot that day.
Yes, the courts were very hot. I recommend that you wear the proper attire for your on your feet. I did not want to damage those beautiful new courts, and that was one of the hottest days of the summer. But It was really fun, and I'm sure we have a lot of people interested in pickleball. We have a pickleball user card that you need to apply for, and it's to make sure that our town residents are using the courts. It's their taxes that paid for it, and so we want to make sure that our town residents have access to it. So you go get a card, and then you show your card when you want to play, and we're always watching to make sure that we're maximizing usage. And as we go forward, this is with the Parks Department, we will consider how we can add to the program, whether we should provide a lesson or something like that. But right now we know there's so much interest in pickleball, and we want to make sure everybody has access to those courts.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
walk at
wonderful.
Tully. I
Yeah.
walk at Tully fairly often, multiple times a week. And the pickleball courts always have at least half taken. There's a lot of times where it's more than half. But
Yeah.
I did notice another thing at Tully is that they are ripping up the track and the
Yes.
field. So there's going to be a new field, and so the park is starting to shape up. It's looking good.
Yes. There'll be a new field and a new parking lot. You know, that parking
Oh,
lot
nice.
has had problems over the years because it's built on a landfill. But the
Right.
repair that we're about to do is going to be substantial, more than was done in the past. So hopefully they will last for many years, this repair.
Yeah, it's a very nice park, and there's a lot
Yes.
going on there, and I think it's underutilized. Uh, and it should really be used a lot more. And I think it
These
will be.
upgrades will
Well,
definitely
I
entice
definitely
people.
think
Yeah.
it will make a difference. The parking lot, as you point out, is pretty much of a disaster. It's like
Mhm.
up and down. And what does that do? I mean, it's just a visual appeal.
I mean, and
Yeah, and that's
it's dangerous to walk on. You know, it really needs to be done. I have had people joke to me that they went swimming at Tully. I said, "Oh yes, at the pool." They said, "No, in the parking lot," because it had rained.
Yeah.
So we are addressing that. There's going to be sort of a net put in that's going to hold the material in a more sturdy way.
Another great event that you guys that we have at Tully and Supervisor, I've seen you there with Sandy, right?
Yes.
And
Yes. Halloween.
it's Halloween, which is for the dogs at the dog park, and it's such a one of my favorite events that community services does. It's such a great family event. Like last year, people come dressed up. They'll either just dress up their dog or the whole family will come, and the whole family dresses up. Like, if it's the Jetsons family or, they're all Spider-Man. It's just so fun and it's a great event. And we have a lot of fun decorating. I mean, I did last year. It was really fun. And to see all the dogs come, and it's such a nice vibe. And it's engaging. And I don't know if it's on, if you have it there on the date. If not, you can always call 911.
21st. It's
the
October
21st.
21st.
October 21st. Okay.
Yes,
And that's
October
I-
21st at 11 a.m.
I
at
find
Tully
the
Park.
dog park a very interesting sociology study between the owners and the dogs. When I walk, I occasionally will take a breather and look in there and say, "Man, this is complicated." Some of the
Right.
dogs get along really good, and some of the dogs they don't get
Well,
along.
it's like little fur babies. It's like trying to get your kids along. I just Supervisor. I just got a puppy not that long ago. So my husband and I
Oh,
have a little Boston
congratulations.
Terrier.
Easy.
So we're trying to navigate this world. This is like our first pet. This is my first dog. So we're really trying to navigate, the whole puppy, meeting world of things. So I can appreciate that, Otto. And I wish I lived in North Hempstead because then I'd be able to utilize this. But just have to
another
hop the
great
fence.
park. Another really good park that I like in the town that's, I don't want to say it's underrated, it's just kind of nestled in there, that Project Independence is starting to utilize. I know, Otto, you talked about how they have the walking path is Camera Park in Albertson. I mean, that's a great little nugget in there. Once you find it, it's great. And you can walk the path. We have low impact aerobics there now starting on Monday. It'll start October 2nd. And we used to have some Project Independence advisory meetings there as well. So it's like a nice park. It's really nice. What do you know about the path to walk on? Because a lot of times seniors do ask me about places to walk other than like at North Hempstead Beach Park. They love that too.
I don't really walk there. I only went there once, I would say.
Okay.
Now I got a question though. Is Manhasset Valley, is that a town in North Hempstead Park?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because I've walked that one. That
Oh,
park
that's
is in great shape, and
Yeah.
there's a nice little track to walk around there with the 9/11 girder and the
Yes.
whole thing. Yeah, it's a nice park. So that I do walk. Christopher Morley, which is not a town park, of course, but
What
there's a lot
about
of
Ritter
parks.
Pond? Have you walked Ritter Pond Park? That looks very nice.
Which
Yeah,
one?
Ritter's. I've
River?
done that. Mhm.
Ritter. It's right next to CGM.
Yes.
Looks like it
It's
has
nice.
a
It
nice
is a beautiful pond.
Oh, I have done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go, that
The
one,
little playground there too. So
yeah,
there's
and there's
so
a
many
restroom.
little, like, kind of charming little places that
And it's important
can-
there's a restroom at Ritter Pond Park too when you walk
See,
around.
there you go. Otto
you
can make
go.
a list of
And we actually have a little track now here at CGM just to walk around on the grassy area. So that's really nice. So there's a lot of places for activity, but going back to pickleball is it's like so wild how popular it's become and how the seniors are playing, and it's
Yeah,
like
everybody.
it's brought such a positive vibe, I think, in, and it's wonderful that we're, expanding. Of course, we do pickleball at Fun Day Monday, and it's packed the whole time. I think Kimberly has purchased even more for next season. We fill the entire basketball court. We have a wonderful instructor, Gary, who, unfortunately, he's a snowbird. So he's not really, here, but he's great, and we had a lot of wonderful volunteers. So much great stuff going on in the town.
It
Some
is, and I
young
think it's a
kids.
testament to North Hempstead and you, Supervisor, because pickleball
Thank
is
you.
all the rage, and this is with so many programs that come to North Hempstead, is that it's really listening to, what people want, Supervisor, and you guys make it happen. And it's so wonderful to see. I remember I wished my grandpa so desperately lived in North Hempstead because there's just so many programs, and just talking briefly about all these different things that you have going on. It's just it's really a special place to live, I have to say. It's just great.
Again, not to embarrass you, Supervisor, but I know from newspapers and whatnot that you do a fair amount of running and athletic type stuff. Maybe you could give us a little idea of what goes on as far as that goes in the town.
Well, I love these community events. They're very often fundraisers. Sometimes they are, fundraisers for cancer. For instance, the Manhasset Women's Coalition Against Breast Cancer has a 5K, and it's coming up October 1st. I will certainly be running that one. I always run that one. We're giving back to the community. It's a way for kids to participate in helping raise funds and awareness of cancer. There's a new one over by Clinton G. Martin, put on by the Mineola New Hyde Park Runners Club. That is an 8K, which is not a very common distance, and it was needed for the whole race circuit. There's a need for an 8K. So the first one was done last year. I worked with the club to create it, and it went very well. So we're doing that again, and that's October 22nd. So I will be running that one too.
Great.
I'm going to admit I don't train enough.
I was going to ask you that. How do you train?
Well, it's mental for me.
Okay.
I have enjoyed running my whole life, so I know I can do it. And in my mind, if I've done the race last year, well, then I can do it again.
That's right.
Mentally, it's an accomplishment. It's also a little bit stressful to know I'm about to do something that I didn't train properly for, but I still love to do it. It's something, it's my mental health to know that I can still get out there and be with like-minded people, enjoying nature, enjoying outside, testing
And raising
themselves.
money for good cause.
Raising money. Yeah, sometimes it's raising money. And I actually did a mini triathlon again this summer. I did the Town of Oyster Bay route. Yes. So swimming, biking, and running all at the same time, which was
kudos to you on that.
It was fun.
That's great.
Yeah, it was
Very
fun.
good.
Awesome.
These events take a lot of volunteers too.
Yeah.
And so and police to keep the route safe. So it's a huge community effort. And I always encourage people to go out and join these races.
That's great. And now you have a little bit higher of a profile, so people are watching. It's a
little bit of a challenge. And sometimes when I'm running, I think, oh, I just can't do it. And I think, well, how's that going to look? Supervisor drops out of race.
Going.
Got to keep going.
That's
There you
right.
go. It's the motivation.
It is.
We
It is.
actually, we have to take a break. You're listening to Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 and FM and WCWP.org. We're in our anniversary show, 12 years. We were speaking with our supervisor, Jennifer DeSena.
And Supervisor just completed her 4th appearance on the show. So you're just racking it up, Supervisor. 4 times on our show already.
Thank you.
So we will be right back after taking a quick break and welcoming Paula Ewell, Deputy Commissioner.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Lohse, Kristina Lew, Dan Cox, our special guest supervisor, Jennifer DeSena, and also Paula Ewell, Deputy Commissioner of Department of Services for the Aging Project Independence. I said all that in one breath. Just want you to know, Supervisor. I can't. Yeah,
That's what 12 years will do.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, of course, we're celebrating our 12th anniversary of Project Independence in You. It's amazing. Kristina puts this show together every week, and it takes a lot. I mean, I just turn my laptop on and talk. Kristina gets all the wonderful guests, pulls the themes together, provides packets of information for all of us. I look at the packet, I know who's coming on, I know the topic, I know what's happening in the town. It's just like magic, She works so very hard and is so very dedicated to Project Independence in You. And I just want to put it out there that it looks so flow and easy because we're always talking and interesting topics and great guests, international guests, I might add. We did have our first international guest last year. Was that this year or last year? When did we have that?
It was last year. Last year we had Germany. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just wanted to say that we'll be talking
the drumming
a lot.
show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're going to have that program, Otto, during this next season at Yes We Can at our Friday programmings. We're going to look to bring in the drumming program live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yep, that's in the
Well,
works.
that might be something I would get involved with. I'm a frustrated drummer who's never played any drums. But I use
That was a
spoons and
great
knives
show.
and stuff.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Never too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, Paula, thank you so much for joining us on this anniversary show. And, our supervisor is here. And of course, Otto, co-host. And any kind of recollection you have or anything that comes to mind?
Oh, sure. I have a lot of records. First, here's my 7-year gift for Christina. You can't really see it. Wow. Kristina every year makes us little gifts and goodie bags to commemorate the radio show. And I have them all over my desk. And I just, I always just want to start with, obviously Dan and the station and Otto and our guest hosts and, the team that puts all this together. And like Rebecca said, it doesn't, it looks like very chill and we're having a conversation, but there's so much work that goes on behind it. And the importance for us, for North Hempstead, for our seniors, is what Kristina does in the radio show and also the PI newsletter. It brings us out into the community and it brings the community back into us, and the community outreach that this program creates is really amazing. I mean, we have our team here, at DoSA, and Kristina now has this binder of resources that from all of these years now, and every week, every segment, Kristina pulls out information and we get it out to the nurses and the social workers and people that, really need to see it. And like it's like kind of like I learned 101 in social work school, actually. Like you don't always see what happens when with the work that you do. And I just want to let Kristina know that the work that she does, obviously.
Paul, Paul, what's gonna happen. The tears are
Stop
starting.
crying.
And
No. This is all good stuff. And you don't always get to see the end points of that. But just a lot of amazing work has been done. And it's really a lot of thanks to this program. Otto has brilliant questions every week. Like you listen, like, wow, I really, can really learn something. But I'm very proud to be part of this team. Very proud to be, obviously a social worker here for Project Independence. And I just give big kudos. And I really appreciate it. But there's always
and that's what we always say. And as the town of North Hempstead as a whole, not even just Project Independence, really, I think, and Supervisor, I think you could back me up on this, is how important the partnerships are in the community. We're very fortunate, and I say this all the time, that in North Hempstead, even Long Island as a whole, there's so many resources and really great partnerships. And I think that that's the success of building programs and finding out new things. Doing the show 12 years, we've had so many different partners on the program that you just you didn't even know existed. And I think that that's the best part about this show, is that you get to kind of really spread the word on the amazing work people are doing and building those partnerships.
I
it's all,
remember the very early meeting, maybe like the second meeting or whatever, and I remember saying, oh, this is a great idea. I was in sales all my life, all right? And I said, this is a great idea. I said, but nobody knows about it, So if people don't get the word about it, and frankly, even today, I know people really don't know about Project Independence. That's hard to believe, but it's a fact. So I think all of you deserve a gold star for the outreach and the development of partners with a very limited staff. That's reality, all right? And I believe that there could be more outreach and more partnership with more of it. You only do what you can do. And there are a lot of organizations that actually have people that's what they do. Their job is to reach out. And
Supervisor, it must feel good to know that you have Project Independence in the town because of the population growth. 10,000 people a day turning 65, seniors living much longer, like we talk about this all the time. How, when we were kids, how frequently did you find a friend who had a grandparent in their 90s or 100? Today it's common. It's not unusual. And in the town we have a lot of residents in their 90s and 100s, and some are driving. So I mean, it must feel good to have a program like Project Independence in the town.
But absolutely, it's a wonderful umbrella that people can turn to for a resource. And I want to commend all of you, and especially you, Otto, because you're always out there. I run into you everywhere. And part of the importance of this show is that people get to know you, get to know us, and they feel that they can call, that we're welcoming, that they want you to call 311 and sign up for Project Independence. And no matter how many times you advertise a program or you think you've put the information out there, you miss people, so this is just another way, this medium through the radio show and our voices to welcome people and make sure they know that they have a resource that they can turn to for safety, for social work, health, or for fun, for the fun programs.
Right. But I also
and North Hempstead TV, since COVID, having this radio show kind of branch out into North Hempstead TV and then finding a way to work with them to have this on is, and with the exercise class, I mean, the programs that are on North Hempstead TV are unlike any other government, channel. And, it's just so great to have this. And it really spread the word. I mean, once we went on TV, I get calls, I grew up in North Hempstead, so I'll get calls from my friends saying, oh my God, my mom just saw you on TV. What are you, so it's really the reach of that and to get to people who, they probably didn't know about Project Independence. And I would get all these calls, especially during COVID, from people saying, I was sitting home, with my child and we were watching this. So it really branched out the show to a community, more so than just seniors, because we were talking about, our lives, and you really do. And that was so true what you said, Supervisor. You get to know, the players. And I think that that's what makes the program such a success.
You mentioned 100 years old. I'm sorry, 100 years old. And you guys earlier, I asked about Hazel Packman, who was involved with this
supposed
program.
to tell her age.
He just celebrated 100.
I mean, she was involved with
He's
this
telling
program
everyone
right at the
she's
beginning.
99.
I know, don't
everyone
tell
knows
us
how old she is.
It's top secret.
But she was very involved with this program
Very.
at the beginning. She was at all the meetings.
And Joanne and Andrea still talk and or see her every week.
Really?
Like they
Wow.
have a tag team with Hazel. She has a help. She has full-time help. But I just wanted to go back to Otto's point for a second with not knowing about us and outreach. What we kind of went to this year is we went back to that very, very grassroots of when we were one census tract in New Hyde Park. And, we had developed this community outreach finder of everywhere. We literally had to go everywhere in North Hempstead. And so we kind of had said, I guess it was back like in April, May, we met with the social workers and the nurses, and we asked them to start going back out to all of the libraries. So some of our help, we had some help here and, with community service staff looking at, I think Kristina, you did the library resource update. So we re-updated, got all the new names. And what we started doing, I guess it was like beginning in June, we're going back out to every library and, some were already in, but like reconnecting again. And Andrea and Joanne just went out to Mineola, and I know we're in Port Washington, and we have monthly services now, journaling over at Westbury. But so the goal for the end of this year is to get back to every library. And, it was easier in the beginning when we could just send every library, here's a new flyer. But it's that personal connection of our staff and say, this is who we are and being there. But Mineola was great, well, all the libraries have been great. Hillside's been amazing from the beginning, Great Neck, Port Washington. Now we've started, we have 2 programs there now over in Port Washington. But I think that's how we're trying to use our resources, we never want to duplicate anything. We want to be very efficient with what we have. And I think that's going to help this sense of people not knowing maybe about Project Independence.
I think a lot of people we find actually are members of Project Independence and, and they don't really know it. Like they'll say, I've never heard of Project Independence, but they use taxi transportation.
Right.
They come to the fitness classes and they're part of the sewing group. So, it's sometimes it's
I think it's too good to be true,
And they fill out an evaluation form and everything, and they know all of us. So, it's not just about the name Project Independence. It's not that someone never heard of Project Independence. They still know to call 311 and that we have services for the aging, and that it's there for everybody in the town of North Hempstead who's 60 and older. So I find that happens. So when we did those original evaluations, when we asked people, how did you hear about Project Independence? It was the majority said through friends. So it's people like Otto who kind of go out there and say, why don't you try an advisory meeting? Why don't you try this group? They have a great transportation program. And, and all of a sudden, so when someone calls because they heard of transportation, they'll call 311 and they'll ask, are you registered for Project Independence if they're the first time caller? So they get a Project Independence packet, but they can also book their first ride. It's not that they have to wait for anything, because anybody in the town who's 60 and older, you're in Project Independence. This is here for you. It's just that when you say you become a member, it's just we have more of a connection to them and able to keep them in the know of everything that's going on. The town does their newsletter, Our Town, which is wonderful. Project Independence, as Paula mentioned before, we have our Pioneer newsletter, and that goes out.
Newsletter.
So
My Bible.
feel like
Yeah, and the email newsletter, Beckett, I'm so glad you mentioned the newsletters because that doing the show, is like, between the town newsletter and then, our Project Independence newsletter, it's such a great resource. And that is growing that number so much. I remember when we started our Project Independence newsletter, it was like, a couple of people here and there. It's up to like almost like 6,000 people on the distribution list now. And it's just, you really see that growing and people asking to be on, and the list now. And it's so wonderful. And Paul and I, we get so many new member requests and surveys of people that are joining. So it's just to keep seeing the number grow. And I think our membership number is close, is getting up there to like 17,000,
wow.
which is just incredible,
With a
so it's
township of 50,000 people, 60 and over, to have actually 17,000 people registered. Now, of course, that's over the years, but that's still, we're out there. So even if people say, I never heard of Project Independence, I sincerely think that it's just kind of, they don't know that that's the kind of umbrella term for the aging in place program that Project Independence is, because so many seniors, it's so rare that, we get an SR and there's not at least 2 or 3 kind of things that an older resident has done that's connected to Project Independence.
Well, I'd like to also mention that we have someone who is specialized in veteran services, who will talk to veterans about what's available to them and their families through Project Independence. So they need to ask for that person.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is always a very powerful tool, and the more smart feet on the street that Project
Smart feet on the street. I like that.
The better. The people who are like me, members, if you will, who talk to people about, they have a problem. Well, have you ever talked to blah, blah? There is a certain amount of the population that always will have a stigma about charity. All right. They feel like it's a charity and they don't need charity. So, I have friends of mine that are in that category, and you can't make them do it. But there are a lot of people that just are not aware, and they will appreciate knowing about it. It's a great program with great people, by the way.
Yes.
I love this radio show.
Well, the commitment, and I've said this 100 times, and I'll say it more, of the people that all of you, Rebecca, Kristina, Paula, Kim, whoever, everybody, is beyond what I have seen. And I was in the corporate world for like 50 years in lots of different levels. And I've seen lots of phonies and lots of people who are just good at, sucking up and doing whatever. That's not this group. This is a group of people who are dedicated and committed to what the goal is. And, you deserve a silver, a gold star.
We love what we do.
And the continuity, by
to
the
go to
way.
commercial.
Well, the continuity of the people is very important also. It's not like a revolving door operation. There's a continuity. There's a relationship. You said Joanne visits Hazel. That's a continuity. That's a friendship.
Since 2006, she started seeing Hazel.
Wow.
We actually have to take a break. Otto, thank you so much for what you said. It hits here, and it's so nice to be acknowledged in that way. And we are dedicated, and we love this job, and the seniors, or let's say the kids, because sometimes they feel like the kids, right? The seniors. But we actually have to take a quick break. I know Dan's probably like, so you're listening to Project Independence and You Community Talk Radio.